Okay, so skill 28 is shortcuts for quadratics. Quadratic equations have a lot of shortcuts, right? There are a lot of things that they can ask you that you can do it a long way and you can do it a short way. So this skill is all about like learning the shortest way to do a lot of stuff for quadratic equation problems. So the quadratic equation, just in case you forgot, looks like this in the standard form, right? And we can talk about other forms. There's other vertex forms, etc. But the standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. And these coefficients, which are a, b, and c, all mean something, okay? So the first and probably the most important shortcut is that if they ask you, if they give you a quadratic in this form, or even in another form, then the sum of the solutions, meaning if you factored it and added up the solutions that you got from factoring, would equal negative b over a. So even if it's in another form, if you can put it into this form and then just get negative b over a, you get the sum of the solutions. So it's a really nifty trick, and there have been questions on the ACT where they give you some really complicated quadratic that cannot be factored easily, and you could do the quadratic formula and do that whole thing, but they ask for the sum, and if you know the shortcut, you just go right here and you're done in like 2 seconds, and it's awesome. So that is the first shortcut. The next is that the product of the solutions is c over a, right? Just c over a is the product of the solutions. Again, if they ask for the product, it's a little more rare that they would do that, but you never know. And the last thing is that the x value of the vertex is negative b over 2a, okay? So if you have a quadratic equation, we'll draw a little thing and we'll put in a little quadratic here, something like that. And the vertex would be, right here, the way I drew it. And if you don't have to see any of this, if you have your ax squared plus bx plus c standard form, you could just put b over 2a, make it negative, and that is the x value of the vertex. And then if you wanted to then find the y value, well, once you find the x value, you just put it in for these x's and you do the whole thing and you get the y value of the vertex. So that makes it really easy to find the vertex of a parabola. A couple more things. Be familiar with the discriminant, okay? The discriminant, if you don't remember, is the part of the quadratic that, if you put it into the quadratic formula, is under the radical sign, right? So you might remember the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus this part, b squared minus 4ac, or the square root of it, over 2a. So you should know the quadratic formula, but this isn't about that. The part under the radical sign, just this, tells you a lot about the solutions. If b squared minus 4ac is a positive number, then the quadratic has two solutions, two real solutions. It doesn't mean that they're rational or irrational, they're just real, okay? If b squared minus 4ac equals 0, then the quadratic has one solution. And if b squared minus 4ac, the discriminant, is negative, is less than 0, then there are no solutions, okay? So you want to remember that, okay? If it's positive, two solutions. If it's 0, one solution. If it's negative, no solutions, okay? The last shortcut for quadratics regards the shape of the parabola. If the a coefficient in the quadratic, so meaning going back to here, ax squared plus bx plus c, if this a coefficient is a positive number, then the parabola opens upward, meaning like a smiley face. Looks something like that. If the a coefficient is a negative number, then the parabola opens downward, something like that. Okay, so there are definitely questions where they give you this and they say, which one of these parabolas could it be? And you have to know that. And the last thing is the c coefficient is the y-intercept, right? So if you have this, and if you have a parabola, something, let's say like that, in this case, the c would be a smallish number, like 2 or whatever, but it would be positive. So you can tell if the y-intercept is positive or negative by looking at the c, and really just this is the y-intercept of the parabola. So that can be really important for figuring out the general shape of the parabola. So those are the most important quadratic shortcuts. You should memorize these. Like, you should put them on flashcards if you don't know them, and you should memorize them because they will get you some questions right much more quickly than you would otherwise be able to do that.